Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Donegan, and welcome to this week's episode of Radical Age Reversal, where we work on helping you age in reverse as your birthday candles keep adding to that cake. We're in the book Eat to Beat Your Diet, and we're getting to the good part now. I hope last week you had a chance to go over our episode about how to turn on brown fat. And I've created this little bottle. I took an empty 5 milliliter bottle and I put in the oils of black pepper, ginger, and clove. And this is now my brown fat burning bottle. So I carry this with me, and during the day, when I just think about it and I'm like, oh, I want to turn on some of that good brown fat, I just take a drop and put it on. You can also do this and just put it on your finger. Make sure you get the tip of your tongue, because that's what activates the brown fat. That's where the receptor sites are for that brown fat signaling, goes to your brain and then goes into your brown fat along the collarbone and your upper chest and in your back, and just starts to work on turning on that brown fat. Now, we all want to turn on the brown fat for two reasons. If you remember last week, one is getting that immune system working so you don't get ill. And secondly, of course, is making sure you get that nice body sculpting, the proper amount of fat of all the kinds that you really need, and the ones that you don't want, you start to burn away. So, can you eat to beat fat? This is the subject of today's episode. We're going to cover a couple of things. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the chemicals and the foods that we need to be eating to make sure that we're burning fat properly. This also means that we're getting rid of the toxins we don't want to store. It means that we're not accumulating difficult fat to break down. We're also not accumulating fats that can make us sick. The second thing that I want to talk about is, just different lists of foods that you should be putting together and keeping them on your refrigerator. Do you remember when we used to keep things like, I don't know, calendars on a refrigerator, or some people would keep a list of phone numbers on their refrigerator? Everything is in phones now. So I want you to go back to that old habit of keeping something on your refrigerator. And what I want you to do is slowly compile a list of all of these foods that we want to start incorporating daily into all of our meals. And if you see them on your refrigerator, you're going to be able to check them off and say, oh, I had one of these, two of those. I'm doing okay. I'm getting all of these in. Otherwise, it can be really overwhelming and you don't even know how to meal plan. The third thing I want to talk to you about, of course, is essential oils. And there are three really important essential oils that are going to come out of today's reading. So let's turn to page 86 and begin by talking about inflammation and stem cells and your microbiome. So he says, my medical research has already taken me to explore the deep waters of the field of metabolism. So this is his passion, Dr. Lee's passion. And for those of you who don't know him, or if you've not read the book yet or read his biography, he is an MD, he's Harvard trained, and he's done a lot of really cool work in research. And he says, I knew inflammation, stem cells, the microbiome, epigenetics, and circulation were all connected to metabolic health. I love that because he summarizes all of the things we should be paying attention to. So, inflammation is a good thing when it's short term, right? Inflammatory response is our immune system's body's response to a threat or an injury or damage of some kind. So, a threat could be a virus or a bacteria. An injury could be something like falling off your bicycle and bruising your knee. And inflammation can also be caused by things like the wrong foods or chemicals or things that your toxins, breathing in too much exhaust from a car, right? Things like that. Taking in fake estrogens, for example, called xenoestrogens. All of that falls into the category of what an inflammatory response should do. Should go in like an army, take care of it, and leave. But if it doesn't do that, if it stays around too long, it can actually suck away all of your resources. Just imagine if you had an emergency in your house and the police and the fire department came. And in the short term, that would be great. They would come in, they would do their job, and would make things better, and they would leave. But let's say, for example, they decided to move into your house. Now you have more people to feed. Now you have things to manage. You have to find a place for them to sleep and a place for them to work. It could be really, really stressful on your household, right? It could put a lot of stress on your house. So I want you to think about that in terms of inflammation. So inflammation should be like the rescue people, our first responders. They come in, they do their job, and then they leave. But if they linger around too long, which is what happens when you have too much inflammation in your body, then they actually cause stress on the body and they start to drain your body's resources and cause problems. And so we want things, inflammation properly responded comes in and leaves when appropriate, when necessary. The second thing is your stem cells. Now, in our longevity talks, we've learned a lot about stem cells. We know that when we're born with these perfect stem cells as much as possible. And then as we age and as we attack them with our lifestyle, which can be very unhealthy, our stem cells will start to replicate in a not very healthy way. Well, you don't want that. You want to go back to the original stem cell as much as possible. We know that actually this can take place because we've seen these studies on mice. We've seen how they've worked with sirtuins, these longevity genes. We've turned things on, right? So we know that this is possible. So Dr. Lee is saying we can work with our own stem cells to bring them back to their original state of health. The microbiome, number one topic these days, right? Like, what's going on with your microbiome? It's not just your gut health, it's everything, right? It's like your microbiome is 10 times bigger than you are, and we need to take care of it. Are we feeding it? Do we know what to do with that? So, we're going to talk a lot about that. Epigenetics, think of a piano. Your genetics are the piano, the epigenetics are the pianist playing the piano, right? So, your piano is what you get. Those are your genes, but they're only responsible for about 5% of your health. How those genes are played or turned on are what is called epigenetics. And that is the real key. That's 95% of the ball game. You turn on or you play the proper song in the proper way on your genetic piano, and you're going to see your health and your longevity just skyrocket. It's going to be amazing. Circulation. We know movement is everything, right? We got to get blood flowing in the body. We've got to take nutrients to all the cells. So, how well your body circulates blood, cleans it out, replaces it is really important. So, those are the areas that he is focusing on when we're talking about achieving really high metabolic health. All right. So, he says eating foods with bioactives is effective for improving body composition and mending and optimizing metabolism. So, for most of us, we're focused on the way we look, but he is also more importantly focused on the way we are functioning, right? So, you want a fully functioning, highly functioning body. That's super important. Okay, so here's a scorecard of the many ways that food bioactives, and that's what we're going to focus on today, the bioactives, can aid your metabolism. Each food can have one or more of these benefits. Okay, so let's take a look. Reducing inflammation caused by excess fat. Improve your body's sensitivity to insulin. Activate the pathway that triggers thermogenesis in brown fat. So every once in a while, I want you to think about, like, did you eat something and how long did it take for your body to feel a flush of warmth? If you're not getting that flush of warmth after you eat or after you move, you're not experiencing thermogenesis. Now, it can be subtle. It's not a hot flash, okay? So you shouldn't be like stripping off your clothes and sweating and getting a towel. That's not what thermogenesis is. Thermogenesis is actually your body like turning on its engine. You just feeling a flush, a slight flush of warmth. So start paying attention after you eat to when that happens. Also, if you're starting to use this brown fat stimulating oil blend, the ginger, the black pepper, and the clove, you should put this on your tongue, and you want it on the tip of your tongue, okay? And soon after, you should start to feel the thermogenesis, okay? It's something that you may have to be more mindful of, right? So we have to learn our bodies because we're the operator of that machine, and it's a perfect machine. So the more we can understand what's going on, the better off we're going to be. Okay, cause white fat to become brown fat or beige fat, which we know is good. Direct stem cells to make more desirable brown fat instead of harmful white fat. Reduce the amount of visceral fat, shrinking the waistline. Produce more of the beneficial hormone aponectin from healthy fat cells. Improve lipid metabolism by restoring the microbiome, slow fat's ability to grow, and suppress your appetite. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the bioactives found in food. Now, this is where going to want to either record this or start to write a list. So the first three things we want to talk about are kitchen herbs. So kitchen herbs like oregano, thyme, and marjoram. This bioactive adds flavor to your food. Okay, and many years ago, there was this sort of discussion going around. I think it was social media, somewhere on the internet, that did doTERRA have some kind of color code to their bottles? And you know what? Maybe they do. Because when I pulled out these three oils, which are marjoram, thyme, and oregano, I noticed that all three of these bottles have the same color label. And if we look at the section, which is carvacrol, okay, that's the bioactive, you don't have to memorize all these names. I think the important thing is to create the list of foods. It's good to know what the names are because it teaches us a little bit about how nature works inside our body. But I think the most important thing is for you to have that list of foods. So oregano, thyme, and marjoram. This bioactive adds flavor to your food, so that's good. And these are gonna be at the top of your list. All right. So, all right, but before I go on, okay, what if you don't like them? Do you want to put these in your food? Maybe not. So this is where essential oils become a necessity. Because what I do is I will take a little bottle and I will put those three oils in a bottle. And then when I take my daily dropper of essential oils, I have those three oils in there and I don't have to experience the taste if it's something I don't like, but I'm getting the full force of the carvacrol because in essential oils, bioactives are maintained. Okay, that's really important. I'm going to say that one more time. In essential oils, bioactives are maintained. And so you do not have to worry about consuming massive varieties of different types of plants. If they either don't appeal to you, you can't find them, it's not the right season, you don't want to cook with them, you don't know how to cook with them. This is really important. You can put these in just a little bottle. I like the one with the dropper. And then you can take your daily capsule of essential oil with whatever blend of essential oils you want in it. And you're going to get 14 drops, or you can start with one, you can go up to four, whatever is working for you. Okay. So it says these oils are really strong. I mean, these herbs are really strong. You don't have to add a lot to add, that taste to your food. So that's why I like the oil because I just feel like I'm getting like a concentrated dose of the thing that I need. All right. So he gives a little research, what I think is fun. So I want to share that with you. In Chieti, Italy, lab researchers at the National Research Council showed that human stem cells destined to become white adipose cells, right? So that bad fat we don't want, were reduced by 27% using carvacrol. 27%. So just taking these three oils and putting them in equal parts in a little bottle or in a squeezer top bottle, you're going to get the benefit. So I'm going to pause this recording for a second because I want to go get a bottle to show you. So hold. All right, I'm back. And I'm sure that was super fast for you. So I love the pause buttons because sometimes you get this idea and you want to share it with someone. Didn't want you to miss out on this because I had to run and get my bottle. So this is what I keep in my bathroom. I believe this is a 30 milliliter bottle. I got it from an online resource. I don't even remember. These are all over. the place, just make sure it's a dark glass bottle. It has a dropper to it. And what's great about this dropper is that this dropper will fill one full capsule for me. Now, as I've said many, many times, I'm only recommending doTERRA oils because the ones that I put in this bottle are the ones with a supplement label on it, which means that they're ingestible. I've talked to you about some of the rules when it comes to essential oils. So, what are those rules? For one, you have to make sure that it is ingestible. You have to make sure that it's safe if you're going to take it internally. You really shouldn't put it on your skin or breathe it into your lungs if it's not safe to ingest. That's my number one rule. I'm not going to take in an essential oil that's not safe to ingest. I also believe that ingesting essential oils is essential in our current state because I feel like our food system is drastically depleted of these bioactives that we're talking about today. So, what do I do? As I learn and as I grow and as I need things, I add it to this bottle. So, this bottle is rarely low. And so, today, because we're talking about Carvacrol and its importance for burning white fat, remember the study 27% reduction. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you because I want you to be able to do this at home. I'm going to take my bottle. Now, there's not a lot of room. So for now, I'm just going to put 10 drops of each. One. And look, 10 is an arbitrary number. You can put as many oils together as you want. Isn't that cool? And again, you may not want to cook with oregano. I happen to like oregano, especially in Greek recipes or Italian recipes, but maybe that's not a taste that you like. That's the beautiful thing about essential oils. You can start adding these oils to a bottle and take the mixture as a daily tonic, if you will, to support your body with bioactives. So that's the thyme. And I loved thyme when my kids were little because I felt that it was a little less pungent than the oregano. I used to put it on their spine. That's how I learned you could help them with some type of cold or flu. And for our household, it worked really, really well. There's also some really cool studies on thyme and autism. Maybe it has something to do with cleaning off the receptor sites. I don't remember those studies, but if that's something of interest to you, you may want to look it up. And then marjoram. Marjoram is really good for muscles. I thought it was interesting to find out that it has high levels of carvacrol in it, which means it's going to be great for burning that white fat, that unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted brown fat. Now, white fat. Now, remember, anything an essential oil or a bioactive does brings your body into homeostasis. So you don't have to worry about taking too much away. So, for example, let's say you have the perfect amount of white fat on your body right now. If you are to include or were to include carvacrol oils like thyme, oregano, and marjoram into your daily routine, would that mean that you would burn white fat that you actually needed? Because remember, we learned that white fat plays a really important role in hormone balance, in metabolism, in our digestive system, in our immune response, and in our detox and our like preserving our body from toxins. So you can see I made one capsule. I just want to show you that this is what I do. So I have an empty container and I put my capsules in here because those little bags fall over the place and I just need something that looks pretty. And I keep it in the bathroom because I'm going into the bathroom every day, right? A few times a day. So if I take one capsule, that's a win. If I can remember to take maybe 2 or 3 capsules during the day, that's a win. Now, remember, here I'm going to give you another rule. If you've never taken essential oils internally, you're going to want to start with just 1 drop. So, what would your capsule look like? You're going to take the capsule and take it apart, shake up your oil because they have different atomic weights and it may end up that they separate a little bit in the bottle. So now I'm just going to show you, I can put 1 drop in and that's it. I could put up to like 4 drops. I could take a quarter of a capsule, whatever it is that you feel is the best amount for you, but start slowly and build up. Remember, I've been taking essential oils internally for 20 years now. Well, August, it'll be 20 years. So pretty darn close. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So I went over a few rules with you, but I'll take this one too because I don't want to waste it. And you may find that you do better with taking essential oils with food. Other people may find they can take it on an empty stomach. For me, now I can take them either way, but start slowly, start with a little bit of food, see where it goes. You can also take the essential oils if you don't want to take them in a capsule, you can take them in a teaspoon of olive oil. Get a really good single source, probably imported extra virgin olive oil, and that's going to be great for your health. Okay, let's go on to another bioactive. So the next one we're going to talk about is quercetin or quercetin. It's a potent bioactive that's found in capers, red onions, especially the skins. So one of the things you can do is actually soak onion skins. You can cook with onion skins. You can dry them out and turn them into a powder and shake it on your food. So this is a good way for you to get that quercetin. Also red apples, tomatoes, shallots, scallions, cabbage, cherries, blueberries, blackberries, and oh, he writes cherries twice. So cherries must be important. I'm, you know what I'm getting with this? Quercetin is associated with dark red foods, that purple red foods. We do have a few things like shallots, which are going to be different. And of course, capers are green. But I think sometimes to have, a visual cue that's going to help is important. So why do we need to take the bioactive quercetin? It lowers inflammation in adipose tissue. It improves your cell's insulin sensitivity, so your metabolism becomes more efficient in using glucose energy. Okay, that's going to be really important. So if we want carvacrol, we can use the essential oils. But if we want quercetin, we're going to look at those dark red vegetables, plants. Okay, that's going to help us a lot. And things in the onion family. Okay, that's also going to help us a lot. Let's go on to our third bioactive. Our third bioactive is luteolin. Luteolin. So it's literally lute, like the instrument, and then OLIN. So luteolin. Luteolin is a fat-fighting bioactive present in radicchio, green peppers, chicory greens, celery, pumpkin, red leaf lettuce, artichokes, and kohlrabi. Now, one of the things that I also want to remind you is that if you eat some of these vegetables and herbs first, before you get your fats and your proteins, you're going to feed your microbiome. All right. So, one of the things you might want to do is do some meal prep. So, at the beginning of your week or when you have a day off, carve out 20 or 30 minutes. Make a list from your refrigerator, like we were talking about before, and write down all of these things. See what's in season, see what is, plentiful, and then chop them up. I like to put them in these very kind of green bags now. They make these bags out of different types of tubers or potatoes, and they're biodegradable. They have a little bit more airflow in them than like a typical plastic zip top bag. And of course, you're going to avoid all of the bad plastics that we don't want to be connected to our food. But the other thing I like about these green bags or these storage bags that are made out of plants is that airflow allows the vegetables to stay a little bit fresher. I also like to put my cheese in one of these types of bags. It really, really helps a lot. So let's say, for example, you have what I'm going to call like your starter or crudité container or bags ready to go. That means that when you're cooking or you're a little bit hungry and you're tempted to nosh on, I think what Americans at least tend to grab, which is the what I'm going to call the low hanging cracker or like the low hanging fruit. Right? What's easy? I'm going to go in my cabinet and I'm going to grab crackers, I'm going to have a piece of bread, something fast, right? What do you get served at in a restaurant? Did you know that when you sit down at a restaurant, they bring you bread, not because they're trying to be generous, but because they know that bread stimulates your hunger hormone. So you're going to order more and you're going to eat more if you eat the bread. So when they're going to bring the bread to the table, say no, thank you. Or say, we would love the bread to come after our meal. Okay. Don't let the Jedi mind trick influence your ordering at the restaurant. Okay. You want to make sure that you are in proper hormone balance when you're placing your order. So you're going to make good food choices and you're going to also eat in the proper order. One of the fun things that I've tried is I've actually said to the waiter, do you have any type of vegetable appetizer, or could you bring me a small salad? Do you have crudité? Get them to bring you some type of vegetable. So when you're socializing, especially if, say, you're at a restaurant and you say, oh, I'm having a nice, you know, dinner with friends, and you order that glass of wine. Well, guess what? That glass of wine is doing the same thing the bread is doing. It's going to create a sugar rush in your body. It's going to turn on that hunger hormone, and you're going to order and eat more. So get the glass of wine. But before you drink the glass of wine, I want you to have that vegetable. Just get the vegetable in your body. It's going to be so important. And I love this because at least with lutein, the the um the fat fighting bioactive we're just talking about now, there's a lot of common things here, like green peppers are pretty common, celery, red leaf lettuce, artichokes and kohlrabi may be a little bit harder to find, but know they're on the list so you can have some variety. So let's talk about the study for lutein. So lutein has been shown to prevent weight gain and reduce both visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. So my thin friends out there who might have a high visceral fat level, remember that's the dangerous one. We want to make sure that we get that tested, okay? You can look at the outside of your body and start pinching and say, okay, I have some white fat. But the visceral fat, you only know through either a smart scale or some type of test that your doctor does. Find out what your number is because you want to get that number below 12 or 13. It's really important. I'd like to see it below 9 even. I think that's really important. Okay. And someone could have a lot of white fat and not a lot of visceral fat and vice versa. So it's important to know our numbers, right? Once we have information, once we have data, we have the power to change things. So let's talk a little bit more about this, and then I'm going to end this episode and go back to the oils that I shared with you. So we have those as a reminder, and then we're going to keep going on next week with more bioactives. But it says, just like quercetin, lutein takes a multi-prong approach to dismantling the harms of body fat. It sends a signal to brown fat telling you to make more UCPI, which fires up thermogenesis. So your homework for this week is to pay attention to thermogenesis. After you eat, how long does it take for you to feel a little bit of heat? And if you're not feeling a little bit of heat, get out a bioactive, okay? You don't have enough bioactives in what you're eating. The simple thing for me is to get out my essential oil blend that has the carvacrol in it, which is oregano, thyme, and marjoram, and get that turning on your thermogenesis. Well, Carrie, what if I don't need to lose white fat? Why do I need thermogenesis? Thermogenesis is important because it reduces inflammation. It turns on your proper digestion, it helps all of your systems flowing better. It's going to help with circulation, which is super important because you need to take those nutrients to all the extremities in your body. So just because you're at a proper weight doesn't mean you don't need thermogenesis. So your homework for this week is to be mindful of when you start to feel a little heat after eating. It's really important. Now, lutein also causes white adipose tissue to transform itself into brown fat. That is cool, right? So, just by adding a little bit of celery every day, you could be transforming your white fat into healthy brown fat. And I love the fact that that fat is up here. It's in your upper part of your body, it's along your neck, it's across your chest, it's across the upper back. All right. And this bioactive lowers fat inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity, all of which help to improve metabolic health. So I understand we didn't get too far today. The information was super dense, but I think we did come away with a really cool Carvacrol tool, and that is to get out the doTERRA oregano, marjoram, and thyme and either create a three-pronged blend, or if you are using a mix of essential oils, you could add it to that bottle as well. Or you could do what I did with the brown fat stimulating oils and just put the three oils in a tiny 5 ml bottle. All of those are ideas. You might have better ideas than I do. Please share them in the comment section. I want to know how you're going to incorporate things like Carvacrol, quercetin, and lutein into your daily habit stack. All right. Well, our time is done for today. So here's to breaking the limits of age and living each day with vitality. Keep thriving and see you on the next episode of Radical Age Reversal.